Today's Tip Tuesday is a crash course in hard drives for video professionals. So, how much hard drive space do you need, and what should you look for when shopping for a hard drive? First, expect to spend a couple $100 on a hard drive, or two, but I'll get into that. If you're shooting 1080 like most people are in 2016, you'll want to start around a 2 terabyte hard drive. Prices are always coming down, so it won't break the bank for a 2 terabyte hard drive, and it'll give you more than enough space to store all your graphics, your assets, your programs, etc. Now, if you're shooting in 4K, you might want to start at double that hard drive space, at least a 4 terabyte, if not a 6 terabyte, and see how much you're shooting and how fast that's getting filled up. Now you've got your traditional hard drive, which is mechanical. It's got a lot of moving parts in it. It has a disk inside that spins, think of it like a record, and it stores all of your data to that. Those are less expensive. That is the most prominent type of hard drive out there currently. And you've got solid state drives. These are much more expensive. They have a lower fail rate because they have 0 moving parts. They use less electricity, and they can pull your data off there pretty quick. Now, for a hard drive that you're storing your video projects to, I recommend a traditional external hard drive. Here's why. Let's say your primary editing computer crashes. It's just totally dead. Something's corrupted. You've got the external drive you can unplug and just plug right back into another computer. Very handy. And if you have a laptop that you're shooting on, an external hard drive is pretty much required, especially if you're using an Apple, because we all know that doesn't have much hard drive space, especially when you're shooting video. And hard drives have different speeds that they spin at. There's 5,000 RPM, 7,200 RPM, and up. I highly recommend not looking for any hard drive that spins slower than 7,200 RPM. There are some that go up to 15,000. I'm sure they're nice, but they come at a pretty penny, and they're much less available. There's not as many options to choose from. So as you're going through your favorite retailer, you should check off external hard drives, 7,200 RPM, and having a USB 3.0 connector. That is currently one of the fastest connectors you can get. It is readily available. Just make sure that your computer's motherboard can handle a USB 3.0 connection. Since you'll be moving back and forth very large files, that faster transfer speed will be much appreciated on your end. Now, as a quick aside, if you can, I recommend having a solid state drive as your main boot drive. The boot drive is where your operating system lives, your programs, the editing system, software, things like that. And that's all that goes on there. Your actual video files do not go on there. That's for a different drive. I actually just completed a monster computer build for a new editing computer for myself, and I have a 0.5 terabyte solid state drive on there as the boot drive. And then of course I have my external drives as well for the archives and the projects I'm working on currently, things like that. External hard drives come in all shapes and sizes. Some are desktop models that sit on your desktop. They generally need a power source, so you need to plug that into the wall. You've got your portable drives, which are smaller, and you are paying for that small size, although it's much easier if you're traveling from location to location and need to keep it super portable. Those almost always are solely powered through the USB on your computer, which is very handy if you're on a laptop running from location to location. Now, behind me, I have a collection of my hard drives going back to my second editing computer. Those were the internal drives I had before I ripped those out just prior to recycling the computer. Next was my first more serious external hard drive that I purchased back when I had Bryant Productions. And that would actually light up when you plugged it in. It had colors that would cycle through it, which was pretty cool. And then over the years, I got larger and larger hard drives. And now this is the one I use. This is a Lacy Quadra. This is a 2 terabyte model. I actually have 4 of these. This is extremely heavy duty. I mean, if you held this in your hands, this is solid aluminum. If you crack somebody in the head with this, you'll kill them. But it's professional grade. I use this exclusively in my edit bay, and I actually recommend this to clients as well. There are projects that require a tremendous amount of space. The client wants the raw footage. I will give them 2 of these, one with all the footage on it, and a redundant copy that is exactly the same if the budget allows. But I always recommend having a redundant copy. Now these have all the primary connections on here. You've got a USB 3.0, which I recommended earlier. That's also backwards compatible for a 2.0 in case you don't have that connection. eSATA and FireWire 800. On a side note, Heidi ho neighbor. Now these Lacy hard drives also come with software, which is extremely handy because it has a 1-button push backup. Give it some time, and now this has backed up and made a complete copy of whatever drive that you have instructed it to make a copy of. So you can have this sitting there as your redundant copy, and once a week or so, and then it will back everything up. Because here's the thing with these mechanical hard drives. They do have more moving parts than a solid state hard drive, and that allows them to fail more frequently. Now, I have never had a hard drive fail on me while I was using it, while it had things on there that I couldn't get off. I have heard horror stories. It's not pretty. The best thing to do for peace of mind is to have a backup. And hard drives have a finite lifespan. One article I read said you've got about 10 years before the chances of them failing starts dramatically increasing. If you've got a hard drive that's been kicking around for a decade somehow, and you haven't replaced it, you haven't backed that stuff up, pause this video now and go back it up. Go put it on another drive, do something. If that's just sitting there in your basement and you've got some old hard drive and it's got all your family pictures on here, this is not a photo album. I can guarantee over time, this will end up failing and you're going to lose all of your data. Bonus item. Now these external hard drives, where are they plugged into? The wall? No, you do not want to plug it right into the wall. You should be picking up a uninterrupted power supply, a UPS for short. The thing has a baby car battery inside. The thing weighs a metric ton, but in case of a power outage or a power surge, your gear will be protected. Now, of course, they say the equipment is protected up to X amount of dollars. That's all fine and well. You can replace a $300 hard drive, but all the footage on it is a problem. So during bad lightning storms, I unplug my unit. I turn it off and I unplug it. It's good to have your entire computer hooked up to one of these UPSs. If you're sitting there and then the power goes out, especially if you're in an area that's prone to the power going out. My dad's neighborhood, constantly, for whatever reason, whenever there's a 5-mile-an-hour wind, the lights start flickering, and if you're not hooked up to a UPS, you're going to lose your work. If you're on a desktop, of course. So plug the computer and your hard drives into one of these. If you have a power flicker, if it goes out for 5 seconds, you don't want to lose the footage as you're saving or you're pulling information from the drive. So a UPS is a very, very good investment. I'd highly recommend that. The brand of UPS that I use is APC. They're a major brand. I trust my work to it, and it has saved my butt more than once. And that's kind of an accessory that is an afterthought, or it seems to be an afterthought, but it will really, really pay off. The first time those lights flicker and you don't lose all your footage, you will be immediately grateful. So to recap, things to look for in a hard drive. Start with 2 terabytes if you're shooting 1080, double or triple that if you're shooting in 4K. You want an external hard drive, professional grade. I use a Lacy Quadra. It should be spinning at 7200 RPM and have a USB 3.0 connector. And if your budget allows for it, get an extra hard drive and duplicate the footage. So if one drive fails, you have the other one to fall back on. I've been doing this for over a decade professionally and I've never had a hard drive fail, but still, if it happens, it's worth it to have it. What hard drive do you swear by? And do you have a hard drive horror story? If so, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions on hard drives, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer those. That does it for this Tip Tuesday. I will see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. for more tips, advice, and how-to. Thanks for watching.